I've been teaching at ITP this semester and trying to share some of my work with my students as a way to sort of talk about like what I think machine learning art should be, or how I think it should move beyond just like purely what model did you use, how big is your data set, more technical side of stuff. So this is a project that always gets lots of questions from students. So as I usually do, instead of actually telling them what they want to hear, I say I'll just record a video. So I thought I'd just talk a little bit about this project. So this project is called Extinguished. This is from 2019. It doesn't feel like it was that long ago, but it really was. This was done during when the Australian wildfires were happening. And I had just happened across a data set of Australian birds from the Biodiversity Heritage Library. And just want to see, like, you know, maybe I could make something maybe as sort of a moment in time sort of piece of art, like, you know, to reflect on the experience. You know, we saw a massive die off of a lot of natural wildlife and animals in Australia. So I wanted to really think and reflect on that, because, you know, machine learning isn't the best for the environment. So I don't know, sometimes in many ways my work is like a reflection on that, or like my own guilt trip with that. But anyway, this project is done using MUNIT. If you're interested in the technical side of it, it's MUNIT. I would guess each data set was probably about 400, maybe 500 images. It's about 300 or so birds probably from the Biodiversity Heritage Library, and then a number of flowers. And as I was training the model, I sort of noticed that it was like erasing the birds. The birds were being removed in order to make these flowers. And I thought that was sort of an apt metaphor in some way. So, you know, one of the beautiful things about MUNIT is that you get like a lot of diversity in terms of styles. You know, it's trying to generate multiple styles for every image. So I was able to play a lot with these and generate lots of different images to do different things. You know, you'll see the images are like the birds are sort of silhouetted in some ways. And don't quote me on this, but I want to say that I also did some post-processing work to this in processing. I have some custom color filters that I generate that work almost like multiply or lighten filters, but they operate on sort of individual channels. So I think some of this work also did that. There was also some other post-processing, like bringing the text back in, those sort of things. So in the end, I think I ended up making 4 or 5 prints and selling them and donating all the money to a wildlife foundation to help support reclamation or you know, habitat rebuilding in Australia. So you know, it's sort of one of these things where I feel like I never really noticed this in my work until I'm done with it, which is that underneath all the beauty, there's sort of a darkness to this thing, and I think that's something that kind of undermines a lot of my works. Is, you know, it's sort of beautiful in the foreground, but when you actually learn a little bit more about what's going on underneath it, or how I'm thinking about it underneath it, there's always a little bit of maybe cynicism, maybe darkness to it. But yeah, I mean, I think this ended up being an apt metaphor just for the moment in time we were dealing with and the data sets I had available to me. And you know, one of the things I try to impress on my students is that, you know, a lot of times particularly in my tutorials and other things, like I talk about techniques, but techniques are only one side of like the way I think you should make art, which is that, you know, you should have some sort of story to tell or some, you know, way of approaching the world. And I think it's important that machine learning artists like actually build that into their work as well. So it's not just purely like, you know, here's a beautiful data set that I was able to generate, and here's what it looked like in StyleGAN, and here's what, you know, my perfect video interpolation looks like. So, you know, I succumb to that many times too, but I always want to highlight my work that doesn't. So I was happy that some students were interested in this, because I feel like it's a project I don't really talk about that often. Also, I don't really talk about my own work on this channel too much, but every time I do, I feel like people are sort of like, you should do more of that. So I'm going to put away the Midwestern sort of humbleness and try to talk about my work more. So if you would like to hear more about this, please let me know, and I'm happy to like talk more about individual projects. That's pretty much it for this video. Really appreciate you taking time to listen. Hope you enjoyed the work, and if you want to learn more about it, let me know. And with that, I'll call it a day or a video or whatever. So until next time, thanks.